Hello there, Aries, and welcome to your monthly forecast. This is for the month of July, and this is really a great month for everyone because the main download that I've been receiving across all signs is that there's a chance to make some changes and some breakthroughs for many of you. So I'm going to be looking at where you can shift energy around this month, and I'll try to highlight that as we get into the forecast. So before we get started, I like to always remind you that you can use this for your sun, your rising, and also for your moon sign. You can also watch it for someone that you care about in your life. If you don't happen to know all three of those signs, then just stick with the sign that you were born under and you'll get the guidance that you need by doing that. To all of my returning viewers, I'd like to say thank you and welcome back. It's really great to see you. And if you're brand new, a nice warm welcome and just a quick rundown of how I organize this. In just a moment, I'll be getting to the channeled information, and that's a place where I just use my intuition alone. We'll talk more about that in a second. Then I look at a full Celtic Cross, which will give you all of the highlights for the month and any challenges that also might be coming through. And then I like to expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. If you like what you see, please stick around until the very end. At that point, I'll give a little bit of information on how you can give back, and that can range from liking and subscribing to scheduling an appointment, or if you'd like to give a contribution. All of that information is at the end. Right now, however, I know everybody's getting excited and ready for the forecast, so let's get straight into the channeled information. This month, as I selected a deck of cards and I began to meditate, I felt an opening first around the throat chakra. It was quickly followed up by a third eye opening. And in my head, I heard listen or trust. And what I wrote down for your message this month was to trust your inner voice, but there's a second piece that is really connecting voice to your actual voice and then deciding to speak up. What this really reminds me of is, incidents in my life where I stepped into a situation knowing that either something had to change or maybe it wasn't the best situation suited for me at that time, and yet I didn't follow my voice, my intuition. You have a chance this month to avoid outcomes like that. If you're interviewing for a job and you're sitting down and you kind of look around the place and think, I can't imagine working here, but you get an offer and you take it anyway, that's an example of not listening to the voice. Or if you're in a relationship and you know your partner is upset or it really wants to talk about something but keeps kind of sweeping it under the rug, and then eventually there's this big fight and you know that it would have been better if you just talked earlier. Another example of knowing that you could have diffused it or faced it earlier. And the other thing is just knowing what's best for you. Now, as we get older, we have more control over our lives. It's harder when you're a student or when you're younger. As you get older, however, we get kind of conditioned, and that inner voice that we have as a child does get sort of beaten down and dulled a little bit because we are trying to always still please. It may not be our parents, but it might be our boss, a partner, our friends. And inside we know, I probably shouldn't do this, or I really want to do that, but we're afraid of rejection, or we're afraid of judgment. Sometimes we're afraid of success. This month, I want you to mute all of that noise, and I want you to amp up the volume for both your ability to speak and also that inside voice that is kind of telling you, or I should say the internal voice, because the inside voice is a whisper, and we don't want you to do that this month. Your internal voice, which is really saying that you know what you should be doing. It's okay for you to take a bold move, to speak up. And I think for many of you, by doing this, you could use this sort of element of surprise, especially if you're someone who is always sort of quiet or a wallflower or in the background. If you come forth with just really great insight and you do it at the right time, you're going to show up in people's radar as someone that they should pay attention to. And by choosing your moment and by saying things that really matter when they should be said rather than 2 or 3 months down the line, or making a decision when it's timely and when it can positively affect things, then you start to gain poise, confidence, you'll be more articulate, people are just going to view you in a different light. This is the big shift that can happen in your sign this month. Trust your voice, use your voice, trust your intuition as well. When I say voice, it's both the voice in your head that's kind of narrating, don't do this, you shouldn't do this, or I want to do this, and then also what you're going to ultimately say to help articulate some of these ideas. They're both valid, and they're both strong, and they can both get you to the next step this month. Because visually what I see for you this month is the Fool energy, which can allow you to FOOL, not FULL. So the Fool card, where you can take a risk, take a step in the right direction, make some change, but it might be uncomfortable for you. What's great about the Fool is he doesn't or she doesn't overthink things. And so I want you to embody the positive aspects of the Fool card and really just step forward and trust yourself, okay? Let's move along now to the Celtic Cross. I'm going to pull the camera down, give the cards a shuffle, and I like to remain quiet so that I can observe the cards just like you, but I'll join you afterwards, and card by card, step by step, we'll walk through what that means for you over the course of this month. I always like to begin with the Catalyst card. This very special card is what connects everything that we're going to look at here in the Celtic Cross. It can be a key to success. It can also be a warning. As we look at the Lion card in the reverse state, you get a little bit of both here. First, we'll talk about the upright position. Lion, for me, indicates strength, assertiveness, being bold, taking the risk, much like that Fool image that I was getting when we were talking about the channeled information. The reversal of this is about holding back perhaps when you shouldn't, or about waiting for something bad to happen or doubting yourself. And I get two images that come to mind when I look at the Lion. The first is an old movie reference, The Wizard of Oz, and I'm thinking of the lion that may not feel the strength or the courage that it has. So I want to just kind of remind you this month that you are stronger, more courageous, and more able than you may give yourself credit for. The second piece, tied more directly into what I deal with, the tarot here, is the Strength card. Typically with the Strength card, you will see a woman in the background that is opening up the mouth of a lion or a tiger or some sort of animal. And there are a few things that you can kind of take away from that. First of all, there's no need or no room for that this month because you are the one that's in control. You're the one that should step in and help lead people. But you may be taking a different role because that Strength card, although it's a beautiful divine feminine card, can also show too much assertiveness. And this is one where you don't need someone else pushing you. And so what I want you to do is take a kind of preemptive strike this month and know that you can set the tone for things, for conversations, for expectations, etc. So it really is important to kind of put your stake in something first so that you get credit, so that you're able to help mold and shape things like we talked about earlier. Okay, that being said, there could still be some situations this month where you want to be careful about egos and figuring out, is this worth your time and energy? Because when I think of a Strength card in reverse, it is an adversary in your life that may not be worth your time and energy. That's someone who has a hard time saying no, has a hard time being wrong, has a hard time with people pushing back on them. So you have a little window where you can avoid that kind of a situation, but it does require more assertiveness, and that's up to you if you want to do that. Take care of your own strength this month too, because whenever I see any sort of animal totem or that Strength card in reverse, it can show that your own defenses are a little bit lower, perhaps because you're working yourself too hard or you just haven't been resting enough. So do take care of yourself. In the center, we have the reversed Four of Pentacles. Now, I like this particular illustration because it shows the foundational elements of this card. Just like the four corners of a house, the Four of Pentacles can show a moment where you've decided to pare back a little bit. Maybe you've gotten rid of one or two activities in your life, or you're investing a little bit less in a relationship, and now you can channel this into other things. Maybe a relationship that matters more, maybe a project or some sort of a passion in your life that really brings you a sense of joy and fulfillment. Whatever sacrifices or choices you've made, realize that they are requisite to the ultimate success that's going to happen in your life. So then if we go back to the traditional illustration here, it's about feeling that there is going to be more coming rather than focusing on worrying about Will I have enough? Was that a good choice? Let go of the doubt. When you look at the Four of Pentacles, it is someone holding on way too tightly to something. Maybe there's a desire to bring something forth or have something come to you. You have to trust in yourself, and you have to trust in the eventual sort of realization of that dream or that goal. So you are foundationally creating things this month. The reversal is simply saying that it may take longer than you think, or you may not get all of the sort of feedback or affirmation that you need this month. But if you trust and you see that vision, that's what's important. And speaking of that, it's crossed by the High Priestess, which is the best one of the best manifestation cards that you can get. I like the High Priestess, I like the Two of Wands for manifesting, because in both of them, when you hold something in your mind's eye, or literally like with the Two of Wands right in front of you, there is this sense that I am not worrying about can I do it. It's more a matter of when will it happen. You know that you're just trying to catch up to something in the future. And with this, we see that crystal ball here. So the clearer you are on your belief and your understanding that you can do it and it's happening, and then the less that you have to try to control the when, the sooner it will happen. You have to release that sort of tension that feels like it's right around your heart space this month. So instead, put the passion into action and create things this month, or speak up, or do something with that. Let's look at deep past, and I just want to sort of congratulate some of you, because it feels like you've been working really, really hard, and that's probably why some of the impatience is there. It's sort of like, even like, I love that there's a mountain here. You've basically done all of this work, and you're looking forward to seeing the payoff. Don't give up. With the Three of Pentacles, it's also a card of recognition. We don't see it in this because it's very abstract, but typically you'll see someone working on, it looks like they're carving something, into the wall or whatever, and there's people observing and giving them feedback. So if one piece is missing, if you've done all of the work and you feel like you're waiting for the payoff, don't second guess yourself. Don't kind of go into a tailspin. Simply redirect into the next sort of endeavor and be patient. And if there is something that you need, whether it's support or feedback, you can ask for that too. But remember that everything happens in its own time here. And when you let go a little bit, it actually speeds things up. What I see here in recent past, and I think this is where some of you are currently focusing your energies, is the Father of Wands. This is a really good card for business, for management, for ideation. And this month, if you're normally a very creative person, we've got that High Priestess energy right there in the middle. What you might want to do is, give yourself a break from whatever the project was that you were working on and get organized. Look at some of the other things. Maybe the business side of your life is going to be more important. And even in a relationship, this can indicate that if you normally offload some of that onto your partner, this would be a really good month to take a look at anything that has to do with budget, with taxes, with your estate, with, sort of the nitty-gritty things, but also kind of what it is you're trying to create and do. You could be the one that's planning your vacation or the schedule. As we look at your crowning position, we have the Devil card in reverse. Now, for me, that is actually an okay position for it, and a great, it's great that it's actually reversed, because when the Devil is upright, it can mean that there are limiting factors in your life that you have to be aware of, things out of your control. When it's reversed, it's saying now is the time to let go of things, and whatever blocks come through, they're within your control. And it's basically a warning to avoid any unnecessary pitfalls that might come through, but you're going to get warning signs. So for some of you, you may have overcome an addiction or some sort of toxic relationship in your life, or you may have just gotten through a really difficult period. But there's a little residue left over, and there could be this feeling that, am I going to have the same thing happen? Or maybe there's a sort of way of thinking or acting that creeps back into your lifestyle. And the Devil in reverse in the crowning position is saying, don't go back down that path. We've already done that. It's not worth your time. You're going to be okay. In fact, as we look at the near future, we see the World card in reverse. And the World card is about big changes going on in your life. This could mean a change of job, a change of living situation, deciding to continue to improve your health, your lifestyle. And whenever we see death or the World or the Tower reversed, it's usually showing that you get some sort of a say in it. It's almost like redecorating or revising. So there could be a sort of chosen move on your part. You might think, I'm ready to leave this behind me. Maybe you want to see the world and do some traveling. Maybe you want to move to a different country or a different region within the same province or state that you're in right now. And whatever the changes are that are happening, you get this sense inside that it's going to happen or you're ready for it. And with this big management card that I see here in recent past, I think for you, the important thing is to figure out, how can I make this happen? As we look across the center here, we actually see the magic of that. We have the Father of Wands or King of Wands here with the High Priestess and then the World card. There are some resource limitations that many of you have to honor. And again, for some of you, that could be the restriction, but there are ways around this. And so, especially with the hard work that you've done. So I want you to focus on the power that you have to think of some great ideas, to ask for some help if you need it, and then you can start to affect that change that we're seeing in the World card. As I look at your Soul card this month, we have a very gentle Father of Cups or King of Cups here. And for me, this is sort of where I think in the world the Divine Masculine is headed. There is strength through compassion, through kindness, through love. We need more of this, by the way, right now, because there's so much fear, there's so much sort of hateful speech and finger pointing and all of that. This month, the way to be strong, whether you are male, female, or non-binary, it doesn't matter. The way to be strong is to use that Divine Masculine energy of, again, strength through empathizing and being compassionate to others. So if there's someone in your life, and it's kind of like if you have a child or a pet and they misbehave, it's usually not because they want to hurt you, it's because they love you and they want to get your attention. And so what you want to do is to model how you should act rather than to basically react with the same energy that they gave you. So you're going to transmute this month through your strength and kindness. And that's what the ego says. It's also a good month for love. Whenever we see cups, particularly the top tier card here, the King of Cups. And there are a couple different suitors that could be coming in. When I look at the Lion, it could be a Leo. And when I look at the Devil, it can be Capricorn, because those two cards are corresponding to that. But the reversal in all of those is really saying it's not so much about relationships. Maybe don't get so caught up in that. When I'm looking at this, it's about you this month, and it's about how you can heal your heart space, because the Four of Pentacles is tied to the heart. Once the heart is open, by all means, go after those relationships if that's something that you want to do, if you want to grow your friend circle or you're dating, or this represents a partner in your life. But the work starts within, and we see a growth between the center, which was a closed heart, to the ego, which is an open heart. And we also have this beautiful swan here, which is showing development from a place where maybe something didn't feel so good, and taking it and making it something beautiful. This is also talking about just that energy of transmuting or transformation. And that's what's in your grasp this month. That's why it's in the ego. In the environment this month, we're seeing that probably towards the middle to end of the month, you're going to have to make some difficult decisions. We have, these two extremes here between the sun and the moon. And by the way, this card is reversed. So normally this is a card of expansion and exploring. When it's reversed, it's about contracting and figuring out what's important. And you notice that there really is one thing that's going to stand out as probably the best compromise or the best choice this month. I want you to use your intuition, use that third eye opening that I kind of felt at the beginning. Spend time meditating, really figure things out, and don't overthink it. This should be something that comes to you pretty quickly, and I want you to honor that this month. Listen, look, feel, and whatever sticks with you the most when you're trying to make your decision, that's it. There's a lot of gray area here, and it's not always going to kind of sit easily up here or up here, and you notice everything's kind of in the middle. So pick what feels the best to you, and know that that's the most any of us can do in any walk of life. So I'm giving you permission to not be perfect and to pick what you can at any given point, and know that the moment you stop sort of vacillating and thinking and stalling, then we start to see growth. And look at all of the beautiful wings here. You are protected, you are being guided. Trusting in that guidance and allowing it to come through is half the battle. Sometimes we almost will ourselves into being muted from divine guidance. It's there, it's coming through. You already have it. It's that persistent thought or that soul feeling or that gut feeling. And I just want you to trust it. This is what's going to allow you to be a stronger intuitive. It's also what's going to allow for the abundance to flow through. And we have the Nine of Pentacles card here. Normally you would see a woman kind of tending to a tree or a bush that's overflowing with abundance, with fruit or with coins in this case. And so what I see here is that foundation that you built in the center. Look at how it's grown, right? We now have this sort of nest filled with opportunity. And with this, Nine of Pentacles is sustainable. And I think that by limiting some of your focus, both in how far you're sort of spreading yourself, because this was environment. So if you're constantly putting all of your energy into like 6 or 7 or 8 different things, you're kind of doing an okay job at everything, but you're not really excelling at any one thing. So limit your sort of scope and limit your investment in all of these things and put more into 1 or 2 or 3 things and watch those blossom, watch those grow. And that's actually how the success is going to happen this month. For many of you, that could be what you're overcoming, is this sort of desire to make everyone happy. The older we get, again, the more we have to sort of get back to that voice that we forgot as a kid. And when you trust that, and when you don't let all of these other voices kind of crowd in from friends, from family, from teachers, from relatives, from the public, then you're strong. Then you're back to your sort of your higher self, which is what this is all about every month. So we end with a wonderful card. We have the Four of Wands. Notice how they're all showing focal points, which I love here. Anyway, the Four of Wands is all about creating lasting friendships, partnerships, relationships that are going to basically be there through thick and through thin. And it's also showing you that all of this work that you've been doing is opening you up to allow for expansion in your family, in your friends, in your work environments. Again, I'm seeing a beautiful connection also between the Nine of Pentacles and the Four of Wands here. So sustainability and success with money and relationships that are also kind of connected to that. So if you have a small business, or if you're trying to get ahead at work, or if you're just trying to get a hold of your money situation, either through partnership with people or leaning on those around you that might have a little bit more information, you're going to be able to bring your sort of aspirations to the next level. Some really great stuff. If you're trying to find a new relationship, this also bodes well. So overall, a really great spread for you. Yes, there are a few reversals which show subtle change when we're looking at the World card and the Four of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles. Those are great cards though, and the reversals don't really show negative things, I would say, except for you don't want to get in your way. And that's one thing that I see with the Devil reversed and with the World reversed. Change is necessary. Don't fight it. It's really important for you to get very comfortable and knowledgeable about your money, and if necessary, to pull on the expertise of others this month. Most importantly, we'll get to this when we review everything at the end too, just leading with compassion and showing that divine, masculine, and sensitive energy this month that's going to bring you so far. I really can't wait to expand the forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny next, and we'll start with the health card, which includes mind, body, and spirit. As you probably noticed, 2 cards wanted to come through, so I'm going to honor that. Sometimes in the expanded forecast, there are 2 messages in each area. So you have 2 here, and they work nicely together. We'll start with the success one. It says, see yourself doing well in this situation and have faith in a positive outcome. And the second one is all about power. It says, it's safe for you to be powerful and take charge of your life in a positive way, or in positive ways, I should say. And we'll talk a little bit about the solar plexus in a moment, but I want to start with the success card here that we see here first. Even if you're being presented with some obstacles, some blocks, or what seems like even a full stop, how am I going to get around this? It looks like everything is kind of falling apart. This is showing you that there is another way around the situation. So with respect to your health, This could mean that you have a setback of some sort, or you have a limitation which isn't letting you do everything that you want to do. There may be a way that you can either approach this better, work through it in a way that was unexpected, or if it's here because, again, it's mind, body, and spirit, this could be simply speaking about you getting in the way of yourself, in a way of thinking. So it doesn't have to necessarily be with your health. It could be a thought pattern that's holding you back in life, holding you back in a relationship, holding you back at work, keeping you from being everything that you're supposed to be doing. So if you can imagine that no matter what challenge comes your way, that you can successfully see yourself through to a better tomorrow, you're already like half of the way there. And one of the areas that you want to focus on is the solar plexus. Many of you may be feeling sort of issues with, maybe digestion, or having some pain in the stomach, or just feeling a little bit of tightness around that area. The solar plexus is where we hold energy of sort of power dynamics in relationships. So if you have a parent that is always kind of coming in and making you feel less than, or it could be a brother or a sister or a friend, and they just have a way of kind of taking your power away, a lot of times we feel it's almost like a punch to the gut. And when we're looking at that on an etheric or an energy level, it's because somebody is really trying to kind of like poke a hole in your power center. So what you want to do is practice gentle meditation and even strengthening techniques. Yoga is fantastic. Pilates is great too. Working on the core and working on your posture so that you are really standing tall and strong and confident, again, in what's going on. Using this divine masculine energy that we talked about. Feeling that strength, assertiveness, and kindness are mutually inclusive. You don't have to give up one of those. You don't have to be mean to be powerful. And being sensitive doesn't make you less than. So you're going to find a way to merge these things and move past old paradigms and old dynamics in life that might have maybe worked in the past, but as we're evolving as people and as beings on this planet, this is part of the energy for this month for your particular sign, is to kind of find your power and let go of relationships and situations and thought patterns that are holding you back. It's those thought patterns in particular that can be the sort of make it or break it moment for you this month. The Devil card in reverse we talked about earlier is all about letting go of addictions or patterns, because it no longer is sort of shackled, but you still have some of the residue or some of the experience in the past that is with you or in your energy system. So what I want you to do is make the choice and the decision that today is a new day. The decisions I make today are affecting my tomorrow. I will not beat myself up for the past. I'm releasing any of the mistakes that I made in the past, and I realize, in fact, they may have been lessons and blessings that have made me stronger, wiser, and more empathetic. And that's what we see with this. Have you ever noticed in your life that people who have been through tougher times tend to be nicer people? It's not always the case, but oftentimes, if you've experienced setback, challenges, and disappointment in your life, it builds character, empathy, and just this sort of kind nature to some people. So whatever has happened, it's something you called in, it's something you learned from, and it doesn't have to be something that you keep wearing. It's like an old sweater or an old shirt that has some holes or it's worn out. You're finally gonna let go of it and recycle it and now allow for something new to come in. And so what do you see yourself in? And that's what we saw the ending card here being the Four of Wands. There's a lot of subtle energy this month, and really that's what reversals are to me. A lot of you will ask, why do you read reversals? Well, first of all, it expands the sort of alphabet that I can look at. It doubles all of the meanings in the cards, and it also shows me where you need to focus. These two are reversed. So when we look at this, focus on positive thinking, that you can make it through anything, that you can improve your health. Also that you're surrounding yourself with people, doctors, friends, colleagues, etc., classmates that are in that same positive energy. Because if they aren't, they're hampering your ability to see your possibilities and your success, not only in your health, but in life in general and in projects and all of that. And then with power, I want you to realize that even if someone in the past made you feel like you didn't have it, took it away from you, or was abusive in some way, you can break the cycle. You are not them, you are not that, you are this. And by doing that, you're going to bring in prosperity, growth, sustainability, and you will bring in better relationships, both with how you feel about yourself and then who you're calling into your life as well. So a lot of messages there really on the spirit and I would say the mind side. So it's so interesting how when we reprogram our CPU, our brain, then it kind of brings that message all throughout our system, all throughout our energy. And I think that's really where the focus is for your sign this month. We just had a wonderful couple of messages there from health. Now let's expand it and take a look at wealth. Just like health, this is multiple parts of your life. It's how you feel about yourself, self-worth. It's opportunities that are coming into your life, both in resources, which can be love and money and energy. And it's also how you approach those resources. So let's see what wealth has to say for you this month. One thing that I really love about the expanded forecast is that as we look at the different areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny, we realize how all of the pieces of our life affect those particular sort of focal points. And that is very true as we look at wealth. We have conscious connections here, which is showing that relationships are actually going to be an integral part to your success when it comes to money and career and school. And it's making good decisions and choices with those relationships that matters the most. This isn't a card of money. This is actually showing you that the value of your life may actually sit within those key relationships. Love equals wealth. Love equals richness. And that's what we really are focusing on. Make smart choices. For some of you, this could be a sacrifice, deciding maybe not to move across country because you want to be closer to your family, or maybe deciding that even if the pay isn't better at a certain job, you're going to accept it because you love the group, you love the connection, you love the service aspect of it. It can also be showing that when you're looking at how you value your relationships, since this is in the wealth area, it's really going to factor into what you're feeling as part of that exchange. Is there reciprocity? Is there sort of a connectivity between the two of you? This is also, the first thing that I saw when I looked at this was that some of you might be calling in a soulmate, because we have the conscious connection here, and then we have this Four of Wands card, which for me is about love, friendship, marriage. And for some of you, you may be ready for that long-lasting commitment. And part of that involves working on yourself. The other part of it is envisioning and sort of calling out to that future partner and being very specific. Call this praying if you'd like to, call it visualization, but it's sort of when you get ready to take the next big step, you have to internally make that decision as well. And for some of you, that's what you're doing now, and you're saying, I'm going to get my life ready. I'm going to let go of whatever it was that's holding me back in my past. I'm going to start to see my worth. I'm going to start to work on positivity and self-empowerment. And by doing that, I will consciously be building a better me, and I'll be pulling in a better you. So I feel like many of you are on the right path, and this is confirmation of that. The other thing is that if you need to make a decision for your best interest, for your loved one's best interest, and there's a sacrifice involved, that's also okay, because it's that relationship that is taking center stage here. So as we look at the devil this month, there are choices that you're going to make, temptations that are put in front of you. Something may look really good, but when you weigh it against what matters, maybe someone that you love, something that you love, whatever it is that makes you feel that sense of fulfillment and family, that's what's more important than the temptation. And that's what keeps you strong. That's what brings you on that path of success. And that's where your solar plexus is going to strengthen, because you realize that I have to be strong for these people around me, or for the next generation, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. You plus the community, you plus all of these external influences around you, I see growth, I see improvement there. And I see you being in a place of sort of shining, almost like the star, if you allow that to happen. So really beautiful message here. It has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with valuing relationships and service and your connection to others. That's where the wealth is this month. So whatever others are thinking, whatever doubts they're kind of projecting, whatever temptations exist with money, with power, etc., all that matters is, are you happy? Do you feel loved? Do you love who you're spending your time with? That's where your worth is. That's where your wealth is. And also, I feel like there could be a key opportunity that comes up for some of you based on a relationship that you have. So if you are looking for help, looking for work, looking for love, it's the people around you that are going to be there to support you, there to guide you, and possibly the one that's going to connect you to whatever it is you're looking for. Okay? We just looked at health and wealth. Let's move along to love. For me, love is how you're connecting to people in your life, not just relationships. This is everything. How you're spending the currency of love, how you're open to it, and really what you want to focus on in the heart chakra to be more in that state of receiving. So let's see what the cards have to say. So we have a very fiery, passionate card here in love. It's Vulcan, the god of fire, and right underneath it, it says inventiveness. I'm really paying attention more to the fire aspects of this card, which for me is showing that this is a time for you to kindle or rekindle the flame of love, desire, and passion. If you're single and happy, you could be putting that passion into something that you love. It doesn't have to be a relationship, but for many of you, you are either wanting to get closer to the partner that's with you, or maybe you're seeking out that partner. And I saw that when I was looking at the conscious connections. This is also a card here when we're looking back at wealth about making sure that you really are entering into something for the long run. It's not just about something that is ephemeral or passing or fleeting. This is more about a deep, passionate connection. And I feel many of you are at a point where you're ready for that, or you're ready to build on that sort of intimacy that maybe has been lacking, or maybe hasn't been an area where you've been investing as much. So this month is really about finding the passion, either in something that you love that brings happiness to you, or in your personal life, and really not being afraid to show that. And there's a gentle passion that comes with, again, the King of Cups. For many of you, it could be a water sign coming into your life, because we have this. There could be someone like a Capricorn exiting your life with the devil reversed. And I also see the strong fire sign here, a Father of Wands. So there's a lot of possibilities if you're single and looking for love. And I see at least two potential partners, one that you might have already known and a new one that's coming in. I tend not to focus too much on what the partners look like or where that's at, because I think what's more important for you is where you're at and how you're kind of attracting or sort of pushing away the relationships. What I will say for this month, though, is this came through the strongest, so there could be a very strong water sign that wants to come forth, or you might just be exploring the more sensitive aspects of your personality and the more sensual aspects of your personality, really tapping into the passion. Whatever it is for you, that's great, and that energy is there. Just make sure that you're making time for fun, for being playful, and for being passionate this month. It will help you in all aspects of your life, including work. We need love, we need joy, we need to really feel something that drives us and makes us want to get up in the morning. So make sure that you have that and that you're not just working or not just being too practical. All right, we looked at health, wealth, love. Now let's take a look at your GPS, your destiny card. There's a lot of free will with this one, so I want to see what it is, and then we'll talk about whether it's more about staying on the path that you're on or maybe taking a little bit of a turn in the road. So in your destiny card, the card itself reads the beauty, but it's really about perspective. If you look very closely, you'll see that this person's looking at a reflection of themselves where all the images are kind of cut up in the little stained glass segments. And when I look at this, it's about how our life, we sometimes are trying to fit it into little pieces, little boxes. We can lose ourselves in the shuffle. Sometimes we're so busy, helping out the family, working hard at school or at work, or trying to keep up with outward appearances, that we actually forget who we are. So I'm encouraging you this month to kind of tune out of those outward sort of reflections and put the lens within and think, what's important to me? How do I just feel about my life in general? Because the beauty in your life this month may come directly from the relationships that we see here, this sort of higher frequency relationship, the passion, whether it's a person that you're feeling that passion for or something that brings you joy in your life. It could also be this sense of growth that we saw here in the health area, mind, body, spirit. Beauty, and at least conventional standards for beauty, can sometimes put us in a place where we always end up feeling like that mathematical sign, less than. And I want you to flip it around this month and think of yourself as, you can start off with equal, but I want you to get to greater than. So greater than or equal to whatever is going on around you. This is going to help you get your power back. Know that you're at least on an even playing field with everyone else. And like each of us, there's something unique that we can bring to each situation. So if you've never heard it from anyone else before, I'm telling you, you're beautiful, you have wonderful things to offer the world. And this month, the challenge is to find your own beauty, your own sort of place where you fit, and know that that's exactly where you need to be. You don't need permission from anyone else. It doesn't matter what the optics of this is to other people. And that's really this is kind of like the Six of Wands card, which in its reverse state can also indicate too much of an emphasis being put on optics. So optics just being a fancy word for what other people are thinking of you and how things are projecting or being perceived by others. So a lot of times you'll hear politicians talking about that, or people in a corporate career talking about that. So if you love someone and someone else doesn't understand why you love them, but the love is authentic, it doesn't matter. Beauty really is a subjective thing. So find your love, find your happiness, make your life, and don't seek permission or seek approval from other people this month. You're on a great path, especially as you start to let go of some of these shackles. What's ahead of you, if you do this, is a lot of change, a lot of growth. And for some of you, this could also be like a new job, a new house, some new opportunity, a new relationship. So you can't let fear or fear of failure or success hold you back from all of these wonderful things that are just around the corner for you. All right, this is a really great time to go back and review everything that we talked about, and then I'll leave you with a closing word at the end. Your channeled message this month is encouraging you not only to listen to your intuition, that inner voice, but also to speak up and literally use it at a time that matters the most. So use that sort of internal knowledge to pick your timing, and if there's something that you really care about and want a voice or you want an option to kind of mold it or shape it, you have that, but it's going to require a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, and in this case, your voice to make that difference. So stand up, and in doing so, you're going to show people that you had sort of latent or hidden strength that they either overlooked or have been waiting for you to share and put on display. And that's really what we see with this. This reminds me a lot of, as I said earlier, either the Wizard of Oz or perhaps even the Strength card. Of course, the main difference being in this that you don't have someone pulling the strings or kind of pulling that mouth open, which is also, again, going back to using your voice, using your verbal and nonverbal cues to really make a difference. So don't hold back, don't be quiet, and don't let someone step in and take that power away from you, because that's basically all of the things that that card is highlighting. At the center, we have a nice foundational card here with the Four of Pentacles, and it's crossed by the High Priestess. This is showing that you have a really nice chance this month to let go of certain things that you might have been spending unnecessary time on or effort on, and to really do fewer things but with more focus and with greater success overall. The High Priestess on top of this is showing that your creativity is at an all-time high this month. And when we look into the sort of mind part of the mind, body, spirit here in health, we have the Visualize Success card. And the two of these are basically going hand in hand, and it's great that you actually see like a crystal or a crystal clear intention there with the High Priestess. So the more you believe in your ability to create, to manifest, and to be successful, the more you're going to be able to do so. So think of it also of like the Two of Wands, where you have to constantly keep your eye on that visualization. You've already done the work that you need to be successful and to allow for things to start to happen. The next step would be to kind of let some of that go and just trust. And what we see here is that in the recent past, you've spent a lot of time organizing. I would say try not to get in the way of your intuition. This is something I'm picking up on the review that I may not have highlighted earlier, but sometimes you can overanalyze. There is a sort of fluid energy that's going through the center that is saying, go with the flow, don't fight it. That's why the world was reversed. In addition to that, the Devil card is saying this is a month where you can, because it's reversed, let go of anything that is holding you back, shackling you, or even tempting you to kind of veer off path. You don't want to do that, because if we use this sort of diagonal of deep past, near future, and possibilities, they're all good. They're all pentacles. They're all heading you in the right direction. And you've got the good momentum here from the past, so capitalize on the World card here and the Nine of Pentacles. Even though this is reversed and this is reversed, it shows subtle and possible energy that wants to present itself. So allow it to come through. In the upright position here, we have the Father of Cups or King of Cups, showing divine masculine energy, strength, and sensitivity, where you don't have to give something up. Just because you're showing a sense of assertiveness with the way you're holding yourself or speaking, it doesn't mean that you're letting go of anything that is allowing you to be empathetic with others. Really try to, again, limit some of the scope this month. We saw that with resources. We're also seeing it with your attention span and your just general focus on things. With this Seven of Cups, there's a necessity this month, or a need for you to kind of push into one or two areas so that you can really focus on bringing them into fruition. And what we're working towards here is satisfaction, sustainability, independence. That's also coming through here. Your outcome this month is the Four of Wands, which is showing a higher level relationship, a higher frequency relationship, something that we see here that is probably a direct sort of correlation to what you're doing in your resource management this month, which we saw at the center here, and we also see here with conscious connections. As you start to really decide who's worthy of your time and also who you want to attract in your life, you're going to pull in friendships, partnerships, lovers that are in that high frequency as well. In mind, body, spirit, and health, we have visualize success and the solar plexus chakra. So focusing on your power and believing in the possibilities. This is really important for really all aspects of the spread this month, even though it showed up here in the extended forecast. We talked about wealth, and that the value this month may not so much be in the money that you're making or the place that you work at, but in those key relationships, which interestingly enough may ultimately end up leading you into some sort of a great job or opportunity. Passion is the name of the game when we're looking at relationships this month. Care about whoever you're spending time with. Really show them your love, your passion, your energy. Or if you're single and happy, put that energy into something creative, because you do have that flow that wants to come through this month. And finally, a reminder that you are beautiful, that what you love, what you create is also beautiful, and that, you know, the perception and the optics that others are sort of kind of feeling about this, it's not so important as what you feel. That authenticity is what's going to attract people. That's what's going to create this Four of Wands moment for you. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So that brings your monthly reading to a close, but I hope you got exactly what you needed to be able to navigate all the opportunities and all of the challenges that are presenting themselves this month. If you ever feel like you want to talk a little bit more about something that's going on in your life, maybe it's a developmental opportunity, maybe it's a relationship, or just some questions about spirituality, feel free to reach out to me. If you click on the first card in the video or the first link below, you'll see that there's a way to connect to my booking site, and you can check out rates and availability there. And if that's something that makes sense, then I look forward to chatting with you. If you would simply like to say thank you, and you would like to give a contribution so that you could support the channel, this is very much viewer supported. And what you can do is you can click on the second card and second link. That'll take you to a place on my website where you can become a patron. And that's just a fancy word for supporting the channel. And if you would like to do like a one-time donation as small as $1, you can do that, or a continuing one, that is also really helpful. What this does is it allows me to set up the time that I need to produce these. Each of them takes around 5 or 6 hours, which is a decent chunk of time for filming, editing, and uploading. And so the more you support me, the quicker I can get them out. Otherwise, just like you, I have a job and I see clients, and when I have to put in more appointments, the videos go out later in the month. And that's really as easy as it is, because I have to sustain what I'm doing here. So if you'd like them done sooner, support me and I can get the videos out in a more timely fashion each month. The third way that you can help really requires not a lot of work on your part, but it really makes a big difference to me. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that. It's a great vote for me and for YouTube, saying that this is something that matters. Like this video as well. And more importantly, if you really got behind the messaging today and you appreciated the effort and you want to share it, join me on social media. The third card and third link will allow you to connect across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my newsletter, and anything else that I just forgot. So click that link, join this, and when you share it on those different networks, it's like you become an ambassador and help really connect all of this messaging out to people and really share more light on the planet. That's why I'm showing up each month. I want to empower everybody to become a little bit more intuitive, to be able to have a little bit more of a heart-centered view, and hopefully to help people around them. Let's leave you with your closing message this month. I want to go after the card that most people are afraid of talking about, the Devil. This card in reverse is very, very good though. It's showing that this month you have a capacity to change things around, to shift the frequency, because it's followed by the World card, which is about change. It reminds me of that old song, To Everything, Turn, Turn, Turn. And that's really what the World is telling you can do, just like the Wheel of Fortune. Things are always moving. The world is moving, the Wheel of Fortune is moving, and you have so much at your fingertips this month if you allow for that change to start to happen. In fact, as we look here again in the possibility space, I see independence, sustainable sort of wealth, and I would say just happiness when it comes to what's going on in your resources. So let go of those past habits, believe in yourself, and put the passion where it matters this month. Your choices, especially when it comes to how you spend time in relationships, that's gonna make all of the difference. Thank you so much for allowing me to spend the last 45 minutes or so with you. It means the world to me that you chose this channel and allowed me to help you out. Thank you so much, and until I see you again, much love and much light.